Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Mini Collection Showcase. My name is Matthew and today we're going to be pretty much taking a look at a subline or like a group of figures all together to pretty much like recap the collection history and all the things that I have with it. So for this episode, I thought I might as well do the Playmates Battle Roar line, which if you guys don't know is basically I wouldn't say a spin-off line because it's part of like almost like a subdivision of lines within Playmates' Godzilla Kong, the whole MonsterVerse line. Essentially it's a gimmick toy line. So far they've made 7 figures, standard Godzilla, standard Kong, standard mechagodzilla, and then Godzilla evolved, a new Kong for the new Empire, Scar King, and Shimo. As of this recording, these are all 3 of mine. I own 3 of the 7, featuring standard Godzilla, Godzilla Evolved, and GXK Kong. Well, the new Empire Kong, I guess, because now there's going to be 2 GXKs, and we all know that there's going to be a Battle Roar Supernova line. Can't wait to see Omega Godzilla and then Kong using the same pose 3 times. And whatever monster they're facing, speculating to be Space Godzilla, but nothing's really confirmed. It's just heavily hinted at. Anyways, if you've been a long-time viewer of the channel, you know that I don't like the Battle Roars, or hadn't really had the best history with them. From very weird designs to gimmicks that just don't flat out work, it's kind of clear that the Battle Roar line for me was something that was not very appealing to start, and that's kind of what we're going to start here with the standard Godzilla. So this one is the one from Godzilla vs. Kong, and actually is the original release, not the reissue. Not that I don't think there's any difference with them, but just because this is the original Battle Roar and pretty much cemented my overall thoughts on the line, it's a steaming pile of crap. I'm sorry, but this is, in my personal opinion, one of the worst Godzilla figures I own in the collection. Why? The head. It's way too elongated. It literally looks like they made him look up and then they stretched him out. And it's just in this very awkward looking up pose with the paint being alright. Like, it's basically the same thing you get on like the 6-inch figure. But what's not something you get on the 6-inch figure is this very weird dry brush. Like, it's so caked on. The detail work is okay for Playmate standards, especially of this magnitude, but damn, there's just something is so off about the dry brushing. It's just so thick and just, it looks very creamy. I hate saying that, but it just looks that way. I don't know what it really is. The spines. I don't think that there was any need to dull down the spines, especially when they're like smaller than the 6-inch figure, which had accurate looking dorsal plates. What happened here? Like, some could say like, oh well, it's for kids, but no. Like, the fins on the original one weren't that sharp. They were pointy-ish, but they weren't that sharp. This, like, I don't understand why they'd have both of those figures on the shelf together. The blue doesn't even match that well, which at least the 6-inch one had a bit of a darker blue. And I will admit that personally I do like the leg positioning, because that's actually pretty cool. But like, what's happening with the pose here? Okay, Godzilla has his tail reared up in the air with a very thickened out tail. He's looking all the way up, and like, he's doing like this weird arm pose thing. Like, I don't even get it, because at least with the other Playmates Battle Roar figures, you understand what the actual pose is. Not for Godzilla. Also, the scaling is crap, because all they just did was take a 6-inch scale design, scale the head up, measure it, okay, that's 7 inches, roll it out, and then the rest is history. So also, I had a bit of an issue with mine. Admittedly, this is probably more on my own fault. It happens with like all electronic toys, but the battery acid started leaking out, and this actually applies to both of them. His battery acid doesn't, his didn't actually leak acid, but both of their batteries are out because both of them were faulty. This one especially. So I guess it didn't like. Excuse me, I didn't really touch this thing that often outside of reviewing it. So clearly, like even like upwards into a year of having it, its roar started stuttering and just kind of cut off. It was so random. So this is honestly not a good figure, like all things considered. Which is why I neglected to buy the Battle Roar line for a little while until the new Empire rolled around. And we're going to go out of order for this because I actually got the Kong first. But here's the Godzilla Evolved. Actually, let's quickly go over the articulation on this thing. The jaw can open on a spring-loaded hinge with the actual button, which if you're wondering, there was 2 roars. I might throw in some stock footage here from previous videos, so roll it. So then you give this thing a press, and guess what? It can roar. There's another roar. There you go. So yeah, there's that. There's articulation here for the shoulders, so you can go full 360 with this one. Nearly a full 360 with this one. Legs don't really move all that great because this one can go up about that far, down about that far, so a little bit. 360 with the foot. Up and down with the foot here, and 360 with the leg here, foot there, and a big ball joint here at the tail, which aside from rotation and a little bit of rocker, doesn't really serve any purpose. So, like I was making mention, let's get back to the Godzilla Evolved. Now, thankfully, this is actually a very good representation of a Godzilla Evolved toy, because it actually fixes a lot of the issues I had with the other one. Granted, it does still do that weird thing where it like looks up instead of looking straight forward, but the best part is it's not like super awkward, like at an angle. It doesn't extend the neck or like elongate the head whatsoever, so that's a good part of it. Also, even though it doesn't really have any dry brushing, because of that you don't get that stupid goopy looking dry brush here. The head paint could be a little bit better, but the actual like mouth paint, you do get some variation with like the red and the pink. That's pretty cool. The dorsal plates, they kept the design and I like it. It might look a little bit more poofy than the 6-inch variant, but again, still looks the part and actually does it well. It's very well detailed and looks like the way it should. Maybe not, I don't agree with it color-wise, because you do see that there's a bit of a weird transition when you get to the tail, but all Playmates Evolved Godzillas, say except for that big guy, have that problem. The elbow spikes look really nice detail work here. Actually has a pretty good pose, so you have one leg forward, one leg back. Here we have just more sprays towards the sides that are actually more consistent with the actual body at hand, as you can see there. Underneath the tail looks really nicely done, as well as the tail fins, which actually do look really nice. They're actually painted on more towards on the inside, keeping it like contained until you get to the Fang Miser. Ooh. And of course the tail is of reasonable size and proportion and isn't stupidly thick like that Godzilla, so they actually did fix the issue here, and I'm pleased with this length than that one. For the actual articulation, again, spring-loaded hinge. Here's a button. Again, we're going to roll up some stock footage, so roll it. If you press this button, listen to that speaker, there's going to be 2 sound effects. The first one's going to be a charge up beam effect. And the next one's going to be a standard roar. Now, unfortunately, my roar, for some reason, cuts off. Sometimes it, like, plays the whole thing, other times it doesn't, which is, like, weird. Like, I didn't do anything to batteries. It's been doing that since I got it. Alright, there you go. We have a 360 here at, well, not really a 360, but go back and forth with the arm there. Back and forth with the arm there, and actually the arms are actually pretty much symmetrical pose wise, so that looks nice. Leg here can go up, go down, and you can 360 at the the foot. And for this leg, you can go up and down, and 360 here at the foot, and a ball joint here at the tail, although it is still a bit tight on mine. So there's that. So that is Godzilla Evolved. And lastly, for the line, we've got Kong, which is the GXK in the New Empire version. And I would also like to kind of state that I did incorrectly say this guy was the same sculpt. He's the same pose, not the same sculpt as the previous version, which, by the way, that Kong looked awful. I'm glad I got this one, though, which was a gift from my mother, so thank you. Anyways, so the whole, like, upper section here is going to be made of, like, a flexible rubber, which I don't really agree with. As you can see, the rubber's starting to shear a little bit, which isn't necessarily the best of their quality. But at least the design of the head doesn't, like, look like he's a freaking Muppets character. I don't agree with the way the teeth are designed. It's going to open up the mouth here a little bit. Nothing really too in the way of detail on the side of the mouth, but we have the chest, which has painted scars. They look pretty basic, nice gray spray. Pretty much like the whole nape is made of like a rubber until you get to like this part where actually the details do transition pretty fair. Big bulging button, arms swaying up in the air like this with gray hands, as you can see. I like the color transition, you know, it's very solid. It's not trying to like transition itself. You can definitely see where it stops. Nice thick legs. And of course, not so much of a thick monkey booty this time around, but it is what it is. For articulation, this arm can go pretty much not a full 360, but back there, or down there, and a palm swivel, as you can see. Which here we have a full 360 with the shoulder, 360 at the wrist. Nicely done. 360 here at the legs, and nothing at the foot. I don't remember if the original one actually does that, but I don't know. And as for the roar gimmick, because this one actually still has its batteries. Also, notice there inside the mouth, you can kind of see that. That's it starting to shear. So one more time. Just see it in that pie hole. So yeah, that's why I don't agree with being made of rubber. So that was the Playmates Battle Roar lineup that I own. I don't desire to get the original version of Kong. I might try and find a mechagodzilla if it's cheap, maybe. But I will definitely get Scar King and Shimo. That's for sure, like somewhere down the line. Come on, I enjoy these two for what they are. You know, why not round out the whole gang? Just this guy's gang is far from getting complete, never will be. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. Next review will be of the Playmates One Eye, which will round up the wave 3 of Godzilla Kong the New Empire figures from 6-inch Playmates. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.